Dan Rubenstein, I have a trivia question for you to start today's show.
Right off the top. All right.
Right off the top. We're coming in hot. Of the now 44 games that are scheduled for Saturday of week 7.
Okay.
What percentage of those have point spreads that are fewer than 10 points?
1%. No. I'm going with your tone. I've seen a lot of these spreads. It's got to be over 50. Let's call it 69%, Ty.
71%.
Ooh.
71% of the games scheduled at time of recording for Saturday have a point spread of 10 or fewer points, which means there are only 13 double-digit spreads. We know what happened in week 6. Obviously, Vegas is looking at this week's slate, and they're saying, yeah, this could be a wild one as well. So wherever you are, wherever you may be, clear your calendars and get ready for what week 7 has in store, my friend.
So those are the snakes in the toilet? The double-digit ones? If you're looking to identify the snakes, what's a group of snakes? A den? A den of snakes?
Sure, I have no idea.
Hey, real quick, it'd be great if you could consider subscribing to the YouTube channel down below. It really helps us out. I have a nickname for this Saturday. Week 7? Yes, here we are.
Week 7, yes.
Okay, so I'm looking at some of the big matchups, some of the medium-sized matchups, and it got me thinking about fall, Ty. It got me thinking about autumn. And what do you associate when, you go out into the outside, into the crisp air in autumn? It smells, right? It's aromas.
It's smelly Saturday? You're not going to say smelly Saturday. You're
the aromas of autumn, right? So it's the leaves, it's the changing of the colors. It's perhaps somebody has a fire in their fireplace. People like the pumpkin spice thing come fall time. But then I was thinking, there are a number of teams this week in those big and medium-sized games, be it Texas, Ole Miss, Ohio State, Iowa State, Oregon, Clemson, Pitt, and Virginia. Even though we're well into October, at this point, they're catching their first whiff of something strong, Ty. Welcome to Smell It Saturday, catching a first whiff of something strong.
Oh, damn! Let the window down. Oh, it's just a little flatulence. Oh.
Because what do we know, Ty, that
Oh, no.
about some of these teams? Again, I'll go through that list one more time.
Oh, damn! Let the window down. Oh, it's just a little flatulence. Oh.
Shout out Sam Jackson, Eugene Levy. Texas playing a team for the first time this season with an offense-ish, right?
Okay,
you look at some of the offenses that they've faced. That there is something
doing a lot of heavy lifting there, but continue.
I understand. Ole Miss playing a team with an offense. LSU, arguably for the first time this season. All due respect to South Carolina, Kentucky, Wake Forest, LSU should be a different animal on the road than what they've faced offensively this year. Yes?
I would agree with that, yeah. Third overall offense per the SP+.
Ole Miss's LSU's offense is?
LSU, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Ohio State. This is the first, I would say, real offense that they faced this year in Oregon and on the road. That's catching a whiff of something new and strong, yes?
I would agree with that, yeah.
Iowa State with West Virginia's offense.
Yeah.
Would you argue that this is the first whiff of something strong on offense? I would go counter Oregon with defense. This is the first real tough defensive challenge Oregon has had this year. Whiff of something strong, new whiff. Now, Clemson has played a team with an offense in Georgia. This is the first ACC. They've had a really light schedule since that Georgia game. When you look at Stanford and NC State, this is Clemson. And this is Wake Forest, to be clear, who Ole Miss has played. I was going to say,
they're a 20-point favorite here. They're one of those 13 teams.
I understand.
Double-digit favorite.
This is a jump up in ACC play for Clemson in terms of offense. This is their second straight road game, I believe, Clemson.
Okay. Yeah.
What else? Who else I mentioned? Pitt. This is the first defense Pitt has played this year. All due respect to West Virginia, defense has not been the strong suit. All due respect to North Carolina, nothing has been the strong suit, really.
And they're catching a whiff of the Calgorithm, too.
They're catching a whiff of the Calgorithm and Virginia as well this week.
Virginia?
Yes.
You want to talk Virginia on this show? Okay.
Well, what's Virginia's record?
Virginia?
Yeah, they're 4-1. They're playing Louisville.
Yeah.
They haven't played a lot thus far.
Okay.
I'm just saying, catching a whiff of something strong.
Oh, damn! Let the window down. Oh, it's just a little flatulent. Oh.
I added
like the tuba. The tuba
royalty-free tuba to really sell it home. So that's what I have. Smell it Saturday.
Smell it Saturday. Shall we pick some games?
Absolutely.
Dan, time, help. I need picks of the week.
What a preamble for this 3:30 on ABC game, this historic rivalry.
Yeah.
Between the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners. We just posted a video for those of you listening a little bit later about the new food items that you can get at the 2024 Texas State Fair.
Oh, yeah.
You put this together. It is cinematic brilliance. I would encourage everybody to check that out on our socials. Let us know which food item you think is worth having a heart attack over.
Yes.
They will all induce heart attacks. I don't think there are any exceptions on that long list that you put together. Wonderful job, by the way.
Thank you very much.
So this year's Red River Shootout being played at 3:30 Eastern as opposed to the usual noon Eastern slot. It was a big deal. The natives were very restless over this one. But either way, as you know, storied rivalry, which means, what does this mean, Dan, as we talk about rivalries?
You better not keep those records around.
Throw them out the window. Windows are open, records go out. Both teams are off a bye, which is something I'm sure you will bring up at some point. We've got 5-0 Texas. We've got 4-1 Oklahoma. The Sooners won last season. Their win probability to do it again, though, per ESPN is just 15%, given their little matchup predictor if you go to the score sheet.
Yeah.
I don't want to dismiss the possibility that Oklahoma could win because this is a rivalry. Because I still believe Oklahoma to be a pretty good team. It is a whiff of something new on the Texas side.
That's Sooner Magic, Ty.
Sooner Magic. The problem, though, is this. As I see, they could only win in a very specific way, Dan.
Okay.
And that
most,
is by
most of us can, Ty. We're not all Texas.
Well, this is true. The only way Oklahoma can win is if they turn this into some kind of defensive rock fight. And they did give a proof of concept on this 3 weeks ago against Tennessee. The issue there was not defense. They held Tennessee to 15 points. In that case, it was the offense turning it over a bunch of times, going 3 of 15 on third downs, gaining just a shade over 200 yards. Statistically, Texas has a better defense. My long-winded question to you is, how many points realistically can Oklahoma score here? And will it be enough?
I hear you, Ty. That's a totally good question. Is there something specific about this game matchup-wise? So is it like how much pop can the Oklahoma offense get? You know, whether it's, you know, maybe some vulnerability Texas has on the ground because really against the pass this year, again, haven't really played an offense we're shaking a fist at. That to me is the biggest question here. We have a concept of Oklahoma now with seeing them against Tennessee, seeing them against Auburn. And we think we have a concept of Texas, but Quinn Ewers coming back from injury, he's a go, right? Supposedly.
Quinn Ewers is a go, yeah.
And we saw them absolutely handle Michigan on the road, which was still, even with Michigan looking like a struggle bus on offense at times, crazy impressive from Texas, the way they were able to handle that crowd, handle that situation. They look like a championship team. Now the question is, do you believe Texas is a near perfect team in this moment, despite maybe not facing an offense this year? I'm not fully there. And I think their defense can be quite strong. I really like their linebackers, Colin Simmons. Like the guys have been playing super well. Anthony Hill has been a dude. I'm going to take the points here. And I'm going to roll with the defense. I'm going to roll with that idea of emotion running wild in this type of game. I think Texas wins this game. I think they're the better team. I think they have more ways to win. But I think the Oklahoma defense, you give Brent Venables an extra week to do weird stuff. I don't know. There is something about taking advantage of the emotion in this game that I think Oklahoma can keep this weird. Kept it weird last year against a playoff Texas team and won this game. Different quarterback, different receiver availability. Nick Anderson's been out all year. Jaleel Farouk all year. Like there's just not a ton of known pop to this Oklahoma offense, which is why I struggle to think Oklahoma can get one over on Texas. But even still, I'm going Oklahoma to cover here. What did I write down? 24-13 Texas.
This is, I think, a pretty good demonstration of the romanticism we feel towards college football, because we see rivalries like this and both of us are very leery about laying points. I am with you. I am not giving 14.5 points in this game.
It feels way too many.
Oh, it's way too many. And if you look back over the course of history with this game, it doesn't matter who is on which side. There was a game 2 years ago, I want to say, where Texas won 49-0. Before that, you have to go back to 2013 to find another game that was decided by a greater than 14.5 point margin. That was, I think, the Charlie Strong era.
And that 49-0 game was like Davis Beville. That was a shell of Oklahoma that year at their strongest and what they are right now.
So my point of hesitation here is, while I do believe that Oklahoma needs to win this game or play this game in a very specific way, they need to turn it into a defensive rock fight.
Yeah.
There was also a situation back in week 2 for Texas in that Michigan game where it was essentially the same thing. The only way Michigan was going to be able to contend, and maybe we didn't know it as well at the time, was if they turned it into a defensive rock fight, and they couldn't do it.
Right.
Michigan scored, 12 points? That was not nearly enough to cover that point spread. That is a Michigan team that was slightly worse statistically than this Oklahoma team. Mm-hmm. So maybe there is a little bit more lift there because Oklahoma is slightly better statistically. This is all going way inside the ropes, way inside the weeds, way inside the stats in a way that probably is boring as hell for people listening at home.
Yeah.
I think Texas is going to win. I think they'll be able to throw. I am truly on the fence with this spread. I am going to take the points. I went back and forth a million times on this one here. I think we will see some weirdness because this game always features weirdness. I'm not going to feel great about taking 14.5 points. It would not surprise me if Texas blows them out. But
it would surprise me. It would surprise me.
I like where you're at. I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at with regard to giving Brent Venables 2 weeks to figure out a defense that can somehow make this bizarre.
Well, they're going to try to make Texas one-dimensional.
Sure.
And they're going to try to force the Texas offensive line maybe into some penalties. This has not been the cleanest unit in terms of penalties. Get some free yards, put a little pressure on them. The front has been very good. Danny Stutzman all over the place. There's good stuff on this Oklahoma defense.
I don't know. I just, maybe I'm a hopeless romantic here, but I feel like this game will be inside of that number, either close the full way through, come hell or high water.
Yeah.
Or, a backdoor cover situation, something like that. I do suspect that Texas is hungry for revenge after what happened a year ago. And so there's probably some aspect of that as well. But will there be a rust factor for Quinn Ewers coming back off injury?
I say not necessarily.
I'm going to go points with you. I don't know why. I don't know how.
We just described why. Doesn't mean we're right, but we did a good job describing of why we think that's going to be the case. Can I ask you a follow-up question before we move to the next game?
Sure.
I texted you a week to the day ago that there was an animal eating another animal on the fence between my house and my neighbor's house. Do you remember what animal that was?
It was a hawk.
It was a hawk.
Eating a rabbit.
Does that give you good vibes to see a hawk eating ahead of Michael Hawkins playing the biggest game of his life for Oklahoma?
I mean, this is...
Is it a sign from the Sooner gods that it's time?
I have no idea what that would have to do with anything here.
That a hawk was ferocious and eating ahead of Michael Hawkins playing against Texas?
It was a week ago. It'd be different if it were going on right now.
Well, they were off last week. This is the hawk getting ready.
The answer's no. The answer's no.
Hawk is feasting. Oklahoma covers.
3:30 CBS. Penn State -5 on the road at USC. Other than PJ Fleck having his team drink gummy berry juice or whatever, which I will...
Confidence antidote, something like that? Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense, which I will get to a little bit later.
Yeah.
My favorite news story of the week was this one about James Franklin and the length of the University Park runway. Did you see this?
Yeah, he's openly praying for a bigger airport locally.
Yes. So there is not a big enough airport at the local University Park Airport up in State College so that they could fly out directly from State College to LA.
Right.
So they had to bus the team about 90 minutes south to Harrisburg to fly out to LA.
I remember being laughed off when bringing up airport size issues with Big Ten realignment and additions. Continue.
I have done that drive many times, Dan.
Ooh.
Route 322 in all its majesty. It is picturesque. It is a winding traffic hellscape that is still under construction,
It's
as
so
it has
bad.
been since the Carter administration. They have never stopped rebuilding that road. I hate that road. I could go that road. They tell me it'd be shorter to take that road to get to State College. I never go that road. I hate that road with the fire of 1,000 suns. So
I'm with you.
If that is what is powering this little tirade from James Franklin, I am all for it. It has caused me to think a lot about that stat that our friend John Wilder called out about Big Ten teams traveling 2 or more time zones, being 1-8 on the season.
But a lot of those the results kind of should have happened.
They kind of should have happened.
They weren't
but
shockers.
But it does make me think a little bit more about these travel frustrations.
I agree.
Is there more to it? I am not crazy about laying the points here because of it. Not entirely because of it, but maybe it's more of a superstition, but it just feels to me like it might be more than a coincidence at this point. These are college kids. They're not built like the NFL players, right?
Right, and when they're going out, like when Penn State went out for the 2017 Rose Bowl to LA, which you did a video about.
I did do a video.
You're out there way in advance of kickoff, right? You have time to acclimate. You're sort of getting comfortable.
Doing
it's
the
a big
Beef
game.
Bowl, all that
right, you're going
stuff.
to Disneyland. It's a whole thing way ahead of time. You're right.
Where is your head? Where is your heart at with this game? I have many thoughts. I've got the Beaver Hill sign behind me, or the Beaver Avenue and Locust Lane sign behind me. All my Penn State paraphernalia here in the studio. I will defer to you first because I have many thoughts.
So we're in sort of uncharted territory with this because, yes, there are long road trips in various conferences, right? Texas A&M going to Florida or something like that. It's not a short flight. Obviously, West Virginia and their addition to the Big 12 many moons ago. So them traveling to Lubbock or Lawrence or something like those are long flights. Those are long voyages, whatever. This is even more. I still think USC is in kind of a down place right now. And I think that there are lingering thoughts that the USC team that beat LSU is who we've seen week in and week out. And maybe they just lost on dumb luck or something at the end to Michigan. USC is struggling right now. And we talk about winning as a skill. Winning is a skill USC doesn't possess in a close game, in a comeback, or, hanging on to a lead. USC is not built for that. They don't run consistently. And even when they do, they sort of abandon the run for weird reasons. They're undisciplined on both sides of the ball. We saw it last week against Minnesota with the turnovers. I think Penn State is built to eventually suffocate a team like this year's USC. The receiving threat hasn't stepped up downfield in the way that personally I thought one would emerge. I'd like individually these guys, but their passing game, and it's probably an offensive line thing that Miller Moss is just under fire. Yeah. The combination of this offensive line looking worse and worse each week with what Penn State will be bringing to the table in terms of a pass rush and a defensive front, I think it's a mismatch. We saw how USC was sloppy and fell behind to Wisconsin, defense, special teams, whatever. We saw them struggle to separate at all from Minnesota last week. Penn State has its flaws. I think they're built to take advantage of USC. I have them covering on the road despite that travel stat, 27-20. Okay.
Wow. You have way more confidence than I do. I think this game's close. I think this is a close game. I think USC's had a run of 3 straight games against top 20 caliber defenses. As you said, 1-2 in that stretch, but easily could be 3-0. Let's be honest. I mean, those were some winnable games that they gacked away.
Yeah.
I don't believe that Penn State's just going to shut down the USC offense. I still think it's a pretty good offense. We also haven't really seen Penn State play a decent offense since week 1, and that was against West Virginia.
Yeah, but that counts.
It counts, but that was a dumb game with weather delays.
Yeah, and that was week 1. Yeah.
I don't know if we can take that at face value. So I do think USC is going to score here. I agree to this extent. I think the difference in this game is the Penn State rushing attack, which is built to win a game like this.
Yeah.
I do not believe USC is equipped to stop a rushing attack like this. They couldn't stop it against Michigan.
And they're down their best linebacker now, too, in Eric Gentry.
They're down their best linebacker.
Yeah.
Right. The only difference was that Michigan offered no passing threat, which is not the case here in this game. Nick Singleton did not play last week. James Franklin played coy about it. I heard through the grapevine that he was sick, not injured.
Smell it Saturday.
I smell it Saturday. I can't confirm anything. Either way, sounds like he is good to go. James Franklin offered commentary that he's very, very confident, whatever, that he's going to be able to play this week. So my hunch is that it's the ground game that ends up winning this one for Penn State and putting this game on ice. But I do think it is close. I've got a very similar score to you. What do you say, 27-20?
27-20.
I've got 27-23 Penn State.
Okay.
So we both like Penn State. There have been enough warts to this team so far that I feel like there is another gear they have not yet achieved. This is a great opportunity on the road going cross country for them to show it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a show me Saturday, just with respect to me and Penn State, my alma mater.
Kickoff is early local, by the way, right?
It is a 3:30 Eastern,
12:30 Pacific.
12:30 Pacific kickoff time.
Guess what USC fans don't do for early kickoffs?
They don't show up.
They'll be there by second quarter, third quarter, but it's not going to be a house of horrors early in terms of a frenzied, chaotic crowd hanging over.
What I would really like to see here
Yeah.
is Penn State using that ground game to unlock some downfield passing stuff. I don't know if that's going to be in the Penn State repertoire this year. I just don't. And
Okay.
I feel like I've been waiting to see much more on the passing side. And Drew Aller's been good. I think
Yeah.
he's definitely better. It seems like he's got better command and he's stepping up into the pocket. And like there is a lot, I think, to build on there. This is not me saying that Penn State is a bad team. My hunch, as somebody who watches all of these games intently, is that they're a bit overrated right now because
Sure.
Penn State's a top 5 team, depending what poll you look at. Like I know they are in ours. I don't feel like they're the 5th best team in the country. We had a conversation about that on our Tuesday episode. Would you pick Penn State over some of these teams that are ranked around them? I wouldn't, but this is an opportunity to prove me wrong, which happens often, I would add. So 27-23, I think Penn State wins. I think it's a ground game, hopefully unlocking the pass. I would not want to lay those points. Here is my side bet for you, though. I do have a side bet. My side bet is an over-under of 0.5 trick plays involving Tyler Warren.
I was saying, can Tyler Warren throw to Tyler Warren? Because the downfield passing attack is there then.
They are getting increasingly more creative with how they use him.
Okay.
Last week, we saw some of the Wildcat quarterback stuff. If I could bet 1,000 imaginary verbal coins on any trick play, I am betting Tyler Warren jump pass for a touchdown.
Ooh, okay. It depends on what you use to define trick play. Like if he just lines up in the Wildcat and they run like an end around or something with
I just
a
think
receiver.
anything involving Tyler Warren is a trick play at this point.
Sure. I
And
think
they
so.
seem intent on using him the way you would put somebody out of position into your formation in the video game just because you like playing with them.
Okay.
Right. If you're like playing with South Carolina and you want to put Nick Harbor in at running back or something like that. James Franklin seems intent to do this with Tyler Warren. So I think it is eventually building towards a moment where they use him in a jump pass scenario.
Right.
Maybe they save that for the Ohio State game. They might not need it. But over under, not just for this game, but any game for Tyler Warren trick plays is 0.5. Place your bets.
Oh, I think I would take the over here. Yeah. Because I think they're going to be especially confident because they can lean on their defense. Those ends should eat Abdul Carter and was it DDS?
DDS.
Deny
Dennis Sutton, yeah.
Yeah. I'm good with Penn State. And like if this game were in Indianapolis, if this game were in Detroit, if this game were in, Columbia, Missouri, it's meeting halfway. Would you feel better about giving those points?
100%.
Okay. Just making sure.
100%.
So you are of the belief that Penn State is a near double-digit better team than USC?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
So I'm going to roll with that.
The travel thing is weird, and I also think that Penn State hasn't really shown to me that they can do that to a team like USC with the offense.
Well, maybe they themselves are like Notre Dame and a Ty Hildebrand team. Opponent snobs.
They might be opponent snobs, yeah.
Is this game on network TV?
This game is on CBS.
There you go.
8:30.
They love those lights.
7:30 NBC. It is the showpiece of the weekend, the biggest Big Ten regular season game of the year by some measures. It is Ohio State on the road in Autzen Stadium against your Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
Ohio State, a 3-point road favorite. The get-in price right now is a cool $240.
Woo! Well worth it. Love a
You got
big
that?
night
You got
game
that
in
kind of
Autzen.
cabbage? Would you spend it if you were out there?
Depends who was also in town that I'd be going with. Yeah, I'm all about, spending on experiences, Ty.
You are the pro-Oregon watcher among us.
Yeah.
I guess main vibe I think I've been getting from you is that you really like the Oregon defense right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we haven't talked a whole lot or enough about the offense. So
Okay.
let me revert back to elementary school for a second.
Okay, never left.
This is a really bad pun that is
Oh,
incoming. I just want to give you fair
I mean,
warning.
I named our Saturday after farting, and I have a 4-item rubric with fart terms about the keys to this game. Continue.
Would you grade the Oregon offense with an O, an S, or a U?
So outstanding, satisfactory, or unsatisfactory? What's
You
the
get
U?
it? You see what I did there?
Yeah. OSU.
Did
Ohio
you have
State.
that in your elementary school, OS and U?
I know we had the S. I think it was OS and U, if I had to guess. Yeah.
OSU, OS, and you see what I did there. How would you grade this offense?
Satisfactory.
You give them an S.
Yeah, I would give them an S because of some Dylan Gabriel errors, because of the offensive line issues early when they were starting a walk-on at center, and there were protection issues, there were communication issues, there were Dylan Gabriel awareness issues, and they have gotten better. Obviously, 2 red zone picks against Michigan State. It hasn't all been solved in terms of Dylan Gabriel awareness and decision-making. But by and large, the offensive line has gotten better. They have the skill talent to match up with just about anybody in the country at receiver, tight end, and running back. Jordan James has been quite good at running back. Terrence Ferguson at tight end. You can go on about the receivers. There's a lot there. So in terms of playing to their talent level and potential of the experience and the bar here, they haven't met it yet, but they've been good.
Okay.
So satisfactory plus, S plus.
What are your keys to this game? What are you looking at specifically in terms of something that's going to tilt the favor in one direction or another?
So do you want to go with my quad box of fart analogy
I mean,
topics here?
by all means.
All
It
right.
is half your show, so whatever you want to do, go for it.
For now.
For now.
First one, let it fly, okay?
Yeah.
Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, downfield confidence. This is by far the biggest regular season game that Will Howard has ever started. Now, he played in the TCU Big 12 championship game, played against Alabama in bowl game that year after they won the Big 12. But in terms of the electricity of the moment in the situation, this is the biggest game.
Let it fly.
Letting it fly. Obviously,
Really, you're giving life advice here, Dan. This isn't just
let it fly.
keys to the football game.
Well, if you're in a car and you're letting it fly, you might make some people unhappy, right?
True.
I'm going to call it soiling the sheets because I'm not going to swear. Maybe we have children here. Okay?
Sure.
So this is in big moments coming through. High leverage moments coming through. 4th and 1, you decide to go for it on your opponent's 43. 4th and 1 on your opponent's, 12-yard line. 4th and goal. Are you going to kick it? Or are you not going to kick it? We know Dan Lanning has had that issue, or not necessarily the issue, but maybe calling the right play in those moments, deciding not to take the points and going for it in those moments, soiling the sheets, right? Taking a risk, as you can do on a Smell It Saturday, and having it pay off instead of soiling the sheets, Ty. I think that's going to be huge for both of these teams. We saw Ohio State struggle in that first half against Iowa, whether it was a turnover, whether it was going for it on 4th and short and not getting it. That's going to be huge in a game like this because I think the talent is relatively near to each other. Okay, the next item I have here is intestinal distress.
God, you really did go for the fart thing.
Ty, you give me the opportunity to treat a college football preview show like a 15-year-old. I'm going
Right.
to say, yeah, I can understand that assignment.
We were all secretly 15-year-olds.
Intestinal distress.
Yeah.
Getting to the opposing quarterback. Right now, we have 2 very good defensive lines here. Will Howard has been protected better. They have not seen a front like Oregon's. Dylan Gabriel has most certainly not seen JTT and Jack Sawyer, Tyleek Hamilton, guys like this. The linebackers are quite good. The safeties are quite good for Ohio State. Whose spleens, whose intestines, whose abdomens are cleaner at quarterback? because I think the pass rush is going to be huge. These guys need to stay ahead of the sticks. And my final one here is the Dutch oven time. I have written down here, if you're looking at the legal pad, if you're watching on Spike TV Live, inflicting pain in confined spaces. The Dutch oven. Those are to say, in those high leverage moments, once again, who's able to get a push up front?
Oh, no.
Is Jordan James able to fall forward on 4th and 2 to pick up a short yardage situation? Quinshawn Judkins between the tackles. Trey Henderson between the tackles, right? These are going to be tough yards all game long. To me, who is winning in that Dutch oven? Who is inflicting the pain in confined spaces? Four-pronged smell it Saturday rubric.
I appreciate this.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Which brings me to my Wendy's saucy nugget of the week, Dan.
Hit me.
That is Ohio State's pass defense. Specifically, its defense against longer passes.
Yeah.
So the Buckeyes have allowed the lowest percentage of pass attempts of 20 or more air yards. Opposing offenses have only tried it about 5% of the time. So now, they haven't really played an offense anywhere close to Oregon's. But to your point, I think this is a situation where Oregon does need to let it fly.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Gabriel does throw a nice deep ball. The Ducks have a really good receiving core, but they've only thrown it deep about 12% of the time so far this season. They're not really trying to burn you deep, at least not yet. Most of their passes so far have been within about 10 yards of that line of scrimmage. Oregon needs to break that tendency.
Yeah.
That is the chess match for me. So I agree with your let it fly thing. I do think that's going to play a real big factor in this game. I think this is a mostly even contest. I do feel like Oregon has had some trouble finding that next gear on offense. I haven't been especially moved by Dylan Gabriel thus far. At this point, it feels to me like Ohio State's the more complete team.
Okay.
And it would not surprise me to see them break a tendency of their own, putting Will Howard on the move a little bit more, right? This is something I talked a lot about in the preseason. They've done none of it so far. He is not a running quarterback per se. That's really not his game, but he is 6'5". He's 235. He can move. He is on pace right now to run for far less than at any point in his career as a starter.
Yeah.
I could see Charles Chip Kelly getting a little creative there to add an extra wrinkle.
Yeah.
To make it a little bit more complex for that Oregon defense to try and stop
Yeah.
this Ohio State offense.
Ran him a little in short yardage situations last week against Iowa. Here's the interesting thing to me is, I mean, we know who the better Big 12 quarterback was last season between Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel. It was Dylan Gabriel. So he comes into the season having a better year last year in the same conference. Now they're in the same conference once again, surrounded by much more talented offensive teammates. I don't know. I don't see Will Howard as having like that signature performance against a top team. I guess you could say TCU in the Big 12 championship game, but I think Oregon's defense is a step above that. I'm going with Oregon here, and my heart absolutely is terrified of Ohio State. But you're talking about a team with what I believe to be a very strong defense at home with a frenzied crowd at night as a home dog. And so I'm just not going to go against my belief system here. I have what I believe to be legitimate concerns about the ceiling of this offense. But I don't know. In this moment, Ohio State has proven everything it can against the schedule it's faced. But what have we seen this year from top teams? We've seen, Georgia murdered Clemson. They're going to wipe this schedule clean. Beat Kentucky by a point. Give up a ton to Alabama. Yeah, it's Kalen DeBoer, but like, look at what they have. Ryan Williams, these guys on deep. Lose to Vandy. You go on the road and there's some reality here. And if you're going to have concern about Penn State traveling across the country to take on USC, this is a long road trip for Ohio State. This is a different kind of animal.
I just think Ohio State's a different animal than Penn State.
Okay.
I think they're better. I'm on Ohio State 34-28. I think this is a good game.
Okay.
I think Ohio State's better.
Okay. I have 34-30. Oregon wins.
My side bet on this game, by the way, is which coach will be more awkwardly intense with an NBC sideline reporter.
Yeah. This is what, the Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge game?
Yeah. So I guess it's Catherine Tappan and I forget the other guy that they bring along with them. But
okay,
Dan Lanning, tends to play these sideline things a little coy, like he knows a secret that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
He also has the eyes sometimes of a serial killer. So he's got that intense bone in him for sure. And Ryan Day, maybe a little softer since the whole Lou Holtz thing, but he still has an issue with volume control. Bit of a yeller when it comes to those sideline things, especially in a loud environment. So write in, let me know what you think, solidverbal@gmail.com. Send us tweets, zeets, whatever. Give us a call at 855-VERBAL-3, the reverb line. Let us know who wins that side of the bet.
By the way, Oregon needs, if they can limit Jeremiah Smith to 2.3 incredible plays, I think they'll be all right. It's what is Nico Reed, the second corner, able to do against any of the other Ohio State receivers, or when he's matched up against Jeremiah Smith. But no, the fascinating push-pull of Oregon's defense against Chip Kelly and Ohio State's offense will be wild. If Ohio State's offensive line truly is for real, like they've shown themselves to be, what can they do against this Oregon front, and vice versa? I wonder who that player is that is the ultimate game changer. And there's an excellent chance it's Jeremiah Smith, but I wonder how many plays he needs for Ohio State to win this game.
7:30 ABC. Ole Miss -2.5 on the road at LSU. This one happening concurrent with the Oregon game, so we will do our best to pay attention to this as well as. Of course,
I have two TVs.
Games.
I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. We're gonna have to go 3, 4, 5 wide watching games at night this weekend. There are a bunch of good ones. I really liked the way Ole Miss responded last week. They were on the road against South Carolina. They were off that loss to Kentucky. Really strong showing by their defense. Only gave up 3 points. I am very curious to see how this defense looks against a legit offense. To your point of smell it Saturday. How are they going to look against an offense like LSU's? Again, statistically, not just the best offense they have played so far, but it is the third best offense per Bill Connolly's SP+. So this should be a really good measuring stick for both sides because LSU hasn't played a defense like this either.
Agree.
A lot of times when we do these previews, we look at position groups on the whole. And I tend to start with line matchups and line numbers. For this one, I want to get even more specific. I want to drill down a little bit more. I want to talk about LSU's interior line.
Okay.
Their freshman, DJ Chester. He is giving up the most pressure of anybody on that LSU offensive line. He's also the most penalized member of that line. He's a freshman. What do you expect? I think that is something to watch here because Ole Miss is very strong up the middle. Walter Nolan, J.J. Pegues. The pressure up the middle can be extremely disruptive in a way that pressure from the sides is not. I still think we're going to see Garrett Nussmeier go for like 330.
Okay.
I think he ends up throwing more out of necessity. Maybe they revert back to having trouble running. Maybe they get down early because their defense is still 60th nationally in points per drive.
Mm-hmm.
But if he throws more, that's when the completion percentage comes down. Right now it's at around 70. I don't think it's going to be a 70% completion percentage against Ole Miss. And I think if he's throwing more, I think if that number comes down, I think that's when the mistakes creep in. I am surprised this line is this low, Dan.
Really?
Oh, I am. I think Ole Miss is a much more complete team. The Kentucky loss was a bummer last week, but it was a nice rebound, or 2 weeks ago. But it was a nice
South Carolina last week.
Nice rebound effort last week against South Carolina. I think they look around the conference. They got to feel okay about where they're at.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everybody is gettable on some level. You got to be a good enough team to take advantage. But Vandy just beat Bama. If you're Ole Miss, you're looking around and thinking, all right, this is still in front of us here.
Right.
I really like their chances here. And I've got this one at 41-28 Ole Miss.
Yeah, I understand why you do that. And
I hate picking against LSU at home at night.
Well, not only is it LSU at home at night, it's LSU off a bye at home at night against an Ole Miss team that is playing its second consecutive tough road game.
Right.
Say what you will about South Carolina's deficiencies, but playing at Williams-Brice is difficult, and going to Tiger Stadium, Death Valley, at night the following week, that's just a tough one, too. It just is. It's the SEC. There's lots of these. But situationally, LSU has that advantage. So you don't have it quite in the shootout-y fashion as this game unfolded like last year. That's barely English.
No, I don't.
That was what, a 55-48 type, whatever the final score was, I think.
Crazy game.
Crazy game.
I remember going on the air after that game, and we were like out of breath.
Yeah.
It was an incredible game, incredible football game. But yeah, I think points, I just don't think that many points. 41-28, whatever that comes to. 69 points.
Yeah, I have 37-30 Ole Miss. I think they have more ways to win, and I think it's a nice matchup for Ole Miss's offense throwing downfield against this LSU defense. UCLA hasn't been able to get anything going this year. They scored 17 in the first half last week. Before LSU locked it down in the second half, to be clear, but South Carolina's offense has struggled. Didn't struggle a ton against LSU. They scored 30-plus, I believe, against LSU. USC, their signature win against the LSU defense. So while improved, I don't think it's solved. I think with what they should be able to do Ole Miss downfield, Juice Wells, Trey Harris, whoever, I think it's just a nice matchup. And I'm with you. Hate picking against LSU as a dog at home coming off a bye. But I can't find the reason like I can for Ole Miss. So I'm going Ole Miss here.
Watch middle pressure.
Okay.
Watch if Ole Miss can bring middle pressure, because that's almost more disruptive than anything.
Yeah.
I think they can do it here. I think they will try to do it here. And I'm curious to see what effect that has on the LSU offense. Very good LSU offense.
Yeah.
I like Garrett Nussmeier. By the way, I saw a mock draft. I think it was somebody over at Yahoo had Garrett Nussmeier going 10 overall to the Giants. I haven't gotten calls yet from my uncle asking me about this. I really don't want this.
Okay.
Please don't do this to me, world. I can't deal with this.
None of that matters now. That's the good news.
None of that matters.
Yeah.
And I'm not actively rooting against Garrett Nussmeier, but he is a gunslinger. If he has to throw it more, this is my whole theory of this game.
Okay.
If he's throwing it more, there's a chance for more mistakes. I think we'll see more mistakes.
Fair enough.
41-28, I like Ole Miss to
Man,
cover.
I hate my pick, but I'm sticking with it.
And finally, 8 p.m. on Fox, Iowa State -3 on the road at West Virginia, Dan. Familiar path here.
May I jump in?
Oh, sure.
West Virginia lock of the week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Lock of the week.
I got to be honest, I did not see this one coming.
Yeah. Best offense Iowa State has faced this year is... There's no right answer.
Baylor? I don't know.
Do you suspect that Iowa State is an undefeated type team this year? Do you suspect that they have all the trappings of a 12-0 type team?
Given the schedule, yes.
Disagree. I just don't think they're... To be a 12-0 team... Now, we've had some weird 12-0 teams in various power conferences that were unexpected. Iowa, however many years ago, tell your kids. TCU did lose before the postseason, technically, if you consider it a conference championship game, but that was unexpected. I think... What time is kickoff in this one?
8 p.m. 8 p.m. on Fox.
Night game in Morgantown against what we think is a good offense, even though the defense isn't great. Iowa State has been sluggish at times. I think you might be able to run at Iowa State a little bit. I think the pass rush has struggled a little bit for Iowa State. There's just a couple of underlying things. I believe Iowa State to be a very good team. I just think this is a very tough spot. Is it their second? No, they had Baylor at home, but yeah, I'm going West Virginia. I feel very good about West Virginia, weirdly, right here.
Morgantown at night's tough. And I will add to your point, there is a familiar path here for West Virginia if they want to pull the upset. Because you're right, Iowa State is gettable on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's clearly the strongest part of this West Virginia offense. It's what they want to do. I like that matchup for the Mountaineers.
It's a good matchup.
I would also add that, we pop the hood on the spreadsheet. Iowa State's got a low tackle success rate. You combine a good rushing offense with a team that doesn't tackle as well as you would think. Those are the types of matchups that really produce negative effects. Okay, if you're on the Iowa State side of it.
Yeah.
So I do think that benefits West Virginia. For me, it's just a question of whether I like that matchup enough to offset what is a really bad pass defense for West Virginia.
That's fine.
And for me, the answer is no, I don't. I think this will be a good game. I think this game is perhaps lost in the shadow of the Ole Miss game or the Florida-Tennessee game or the Oregon-Ohio State game or even Kansas State-Colorado, which is later. But this game is very meaningful. It's why we put it at the top of the show.
Yeah.
I like Iowa State a lot this year. I probably like them a lot more than you, like them a lot more than most people. 31-23, I've got the Clones on the road.
Oh, I don't like that pick at all, Ty. But that's why I locked it up. I put my money where my mouth is. Well, I'm not betting any money on this game, but you know what I'm talking about. Emotional.
I do. I would not bet the money on this game. I'll give you that. I wouldn't want to go against West Virginia at home at night. And I still think this is a pretty good team.
Right.
But the matchup for me that favors them on the ground does not offset what I think is going to work against them through the air. Rocco Becht has been really good. And what we have seen transpire for Iowa State so far is as they're trying to bring that ground game along, which I think slowly and quietly has been happening, Rocco Becht has been pretty consistent through the air.
Yeah.
And they do have a good receiving core. So I am riding with that side of things, but 3 points.
Disagree.
Again, another one of these games where it's only a 3-point line.
30-23 West Virginia.
31-23, I've got Iowa State.
Okay, there you go. We disagree.
Let's do some quad fathering, shall we?
Let's.
Think about the heart, the passion, the love, the commitment, and the energy you're willing to put into it.
Why?
This is our quad father segment. Yes, depending on your streaming provider, you may or may not have the option to watch 4 games at once. None of them are a sponsor. All of them absolutely could be. Whether you can watch it on your streaming provider because it provides it for you, whether you're just sort of building it manually with laptops and iPads and whatever, more power to you. These are the 4 games that we are calling out in the early window, which, by the way, I would add, this is the window of opportunity for my money.
Okay.
Go out, do the apple picking early. Go see Cats if you're into Cats. I haven't looked to see what's in the movie theaters right now.
Oh,
I heard that Joker movie's real bad, so maybe don't go see that.
I've heard the same. The musical, right?
Yeah, it seems like people were really dunking on that. So maybe use your money elsewhere if that's, if you're
spent a lot of money on it, Ty.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you got Beetlejuice. You've got The Wild Robot. Yeah, there's the Joker. There's a Transformers movie.
Is it another Michael Bay one?
I have no idea, Ty. I'm very old at this point.
Take the kids out. What would you do with the kids on a Saturday morning?
Well, play some soccer, throw the football around, play some tennis,
go for a walk in the park,
go to the farmer's market.
This is your window here.
Yeah.
This is your window here. So the 4 games I want to call out, and there are more that we could talk about, but the 4 in particular, 12 o'clock Eastern time, ESPN, South Carolina at Alabama. Alabama favored by 21. We've also got at high noon on Fox, Washington at Iowa. Iowa favored by 2.5 points. Also at high noon, Big Ten Network, we've got Wisconsin at Rutgers. 2.5 point spread in favor of Rutgers.
Ooh.
And then on the C-Dub, Georgia Tech -6 on the road at North Carolina. There are other games kind of in this window that, I looked, I wasn't moved as much. I think you think a little bit more of the Clemson-Wake Forest game. Maybe
I took points in that.
Maybe more as a measuring stick for Clemson. Missouri goes to UMass. Eli Drinkwitz said it's a great opportunity to go to UMass. Okay, we'll take his word for it.
Sure.
UAB is going to get destroyed by Army on CBS Sports Network. Army favored by a lot, but those are the 4 games to me. So do you have any leans there one way or another?
I have Georgia Tech against North Carolina. Both UNC and NC State are a combined 0-10 and 2, I believe, against the spread this year. I think Georgia Tech is in a better place right now, and I think they can win that game early at North Carolina, coming off of a disappointing loss for North Carolina to, I believe, Pitt. So I'm going there. I have Rutgers at home. I just think Wisconsin throwing into the Rutgers defense is going to be bad.
I'm taking Wisconsin with the points there. I think those teams are dead even.
Don't let the Purdue washing get to you, Ty. Everybody takes that against Purdue.
I think those teams are dead even.
Okay.
So I would go points, Wisconsin. And I would go, you went Georgia Tech, right?
I went Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I'm on Georgia Tech. I think that'll be a fun game with a lot of points. But Both teams very gettable through the air, and I think I like Georgia Tech on that side of things a little bit more. So I'm in agreement with you. What about the other two?
I've got Iowa at home, Washington in a letdown spot, traveling a decent enough distance to take on a tough defense again.
This is a body clock thing, isn't it, for
Washington?
Washington,
Sure.
The game will be 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yes.
I genuinely believe that Washington's a better team.
I think it's 9 a.m. Pacific time, right? Is my time zone math okay here?
If it's a noon kickoff Eastern, I guess it would be 9 a.m. What am I talking about?
Yeah. So
9 a.m. Pacific time. So
that's a David Shaw situation.
Very early kickoff for Washington. Beating Michigan and Iowa, those defenses on back-to-back weeks, I think will be really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's some letdown potential. I think the time zone thing does factor in with the early game. We've seen that before. So I would be inclined to go Iowa like 20-17, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa's not Iowa. Iowa's not Iowa from last year. They're not Iowa from 2 years ago, whatever. But I still think there's something there that Caleb Johnson on the ground can do better than what he did against Ohio State. So I'm going to go Iowa 17-13.
And I would be inclined to go Bama minus anything.
They're going to take out their frustrations on South Carolina?
Yeah. And I mean, I'll harken back to the thing I said about the mobile quarterbacks, finding guys that are open, converting those into long passing plays. Alabama will obviously have that opportunity here with Jalen Milroe. So I'm going to go Bama minus whatever. I feel pretty good about their chances here at home following that loss against South Carolina.
You don't believe that Vanderbilt exposed something fundamental about where Alabama is right now?
There is a case to be made that they have.
Okay. That the defense is kind of predictable in ways that it wasn't before.
There is a case to be made that they exposed something. There's a case to be made that Kentucky exposed something on Georgia.
Sure.
A couple weeks ago.
Little blueprint.
So I hear that.
Thank you.
I am not ready to believe it. I'm still influenced by the past a little bit more than I should be.
Okay.
So I think with Bama and all its talent, let's put it this way. If they don't cover this game, if this game ends up being close, if it turns out that there is something that was exposed that Shane Beamer is able to take advantage of, then I will come on the airwaves midnight Eastern Saturday and I will take my medicine.
Okay.
But I need to see it again to actually believe it with my own eyes.
Yeah, I wish the South Carolina offensive line were a little bit more dependable in this moment, and I don't believe they are. But like, if my criticism last week, speaking for myself, was that Kalen DeBoer was unable to get this team emotionally ready for Vanderbilt. And look, they even had opportunities late in this game, maybe before the strip sack or whatever. If he was unable to get this team locked in to beat Vanderbilt, who I still think is pretty good, but Alabama should be beating Vanderbilt wherever they're playing this game. On the island of Java, Alabama should be beating Vanderbilt. Shout out to Java. I just worry that, like, okay, after a letdown situation where Alabama's sort of the joke of the SEC, I don't know if you saw the SEC shorts about Vanderbilt popping out of the coffin. Shout out to Josh and those guys.
One of the best that they've done.
So
really
great.
Good. Really good. Good job, guys.
That Alabama is the butt of SEC jokes right now, losing to Vanderbilt right after Nick Saban says everywhere's tough to play but Nashville, but Vandy. Kalen DeBoer is going to inspire this team to play South Carolina and blow them out immediately. I'm not fully there.
All right. Well, you have to live with that.
No, I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth. I still can't find it in South Carolina, though.
Yeah.
I got to find the reason as well. I can't just doubt Alabama and take South Carolina for that reason. So I'm going to go Bam. I'm going to give the points here.
Let's go to the afternoon block.
Welcome to the pain zone is where we live.
Pain zone. Okay. 3:30.
Yes.
ESPN. We've got Cal at Pitt. Pitt is my lock of the week.
I like that.
Pitt is my lock of the week. So the Calgorithm's at it again. You sent me a tweet earlier of the Cal Bear just sort of lording over a Sheetz gas station, which is awesome. Calgorithm remains undefeated, but Cal gacked away a close game last week against a top 10 team at night, at home with game day in town. One of the most significant games in the program history.
Agree.
Now they're traveling across the country to play Pitt.
Yeah.
Think they're going to be motivated for that game?
Yes, because I don't think Cal's bad.
I don't think Cal's bad, but I just that's a tough situation.
I agree. But this falls under my smell it Saturday, right?
Oh, damn! Let the window down!
Oh, it's just a little flatulence.
Oh.
This is by far still, even with what Cal allowed to Miami at the end of last week, this is going to be by far the best defense that Eli Holstein and Pitt have played against.
What, no love for North Carolina?
Not a ton. Not in this moment, no.
Fair.
Alonzo Barnett's cleats are still all over those jerseys. There is a part of me that thinks Eli Holstein is weirdly going to have a wreck of a game. Like he's going to fumble it and have 3 picks and is really going to struggle against the Cal defense.
You think he's going to get Wilcoxed?
I think he might get Wilcoxed. Okay. Situationally, though, because of the letdown factor, because of the travel factor, I can't in good conscience take Cal here, but I'm not nearly as confident as you are here.
I think Pitt wins and covers.
Okay.
4:00, Fox, Arizona at BYU. BYU favored by 4.5 points. So BYU coming off a bye.
Mm-hmm.
We need a name for teams coming off a bye. Maybe you can think on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they're now entering a tougher stretch of their Big 12 schedule. They've got Arizona this week, Oklahoma State next, and then I believe at UCF a couple weeks down the road. BYU burnt me real bad 2 weeks ago when I locked Baylor up in that game. I am ready to be hurt again, though, Dan.
Okay.
So give me Zona plus the points.
Okay. So Arizona might just be a not great team with an incredible receiver.
And good quarterback.
Well, he wasn't that good last week against Texas Tech. There were a couple bad picks. I don't think Arizona's offense is all that well coached. They've already made a change at play caller. I think they're a little bit too sloppy to trust in this one. And now they're going altitude after losing the way they did to Texas Tech, a winnable game. I think winning is a skill once again, and I don't think Arizona has it. Give me BYU here to win by, I don't know, 7 to 10 points.
3:30, I've got Louisville at UVA. You mentioned it earlier. UVA, yes, surprise 4-1. Louisville back-to-back losses. They are favored by 7.5 on the road at UVA. On the road. What do you think?
So Louisville lost to who? SMU and Notre Dame consecutively?
Correct.
I think that's too many points. I'm going to go home dog here. I don't think it's a great matchup for Virginia. I think Louisville's able to pull it out, but I think they win by 3 or 4.
Yeah, I got it like 34-28. These are the types of games where UVA is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I think Louisville wins, but I'm not laying those points. The other one that I put here in my quad, and you may disagree because there are some other games that are of interest.
Yeah.
I put the NIU-Bowling Green game. It's on ESPN plus 330.
Mm-hmm.
Bowling Green favored by 3 points. This is nothing if not a Harold Fannin appreciation show.
Of course it is.
For Bowling Green. So big tight end. He is an absolute force for Bowling Green. 55 targets already, close to 700 yards receiving. I like Bowling Green. I'm willing to lay these points here against NIU. Even though NIU knocked off Notre Dame and I should be higher on NIU, I was pretty high on both these teams, frankly, in my MAC preview, if you go back into July. And I think I listed both of them as teams that could make a run at this conference. I kind of like where Bowling Green's at a little bit more right now. And I like the fact that they've got a bona fide weapon out wide / at tight end like they do with Harold Fannin. So I'm gonna go Bowling Green here.
I agree with you, but that's just a Fannin thing, and NIU hasn't looked exactly the same since their upset, or I guess easy, comfortable win against Notre Dame. I have Cincy over UCF on the road.
Okay, I can see that.
I have Notre Dame big against Stanford. Stanford's kind of a mess, and like the zigzagging of the country right now that Stanford is now with Ashton Daniels available. We'll see how he does, but I don't know. Their defense has gotten quietly okay against the run, but they have no pass rush. They don't have a lot here. I think this is a nice opportunity for Riley Leonard and Notre Dame to pop a couple downfield.
I think I am going to include Notre Dame as one of my money bets that I post on Twitter. I haven't fully done the math on it yet, but I tend to agree with you. It seems like a good spot for Notre Dame.
So this is Palo Alto to Syracuse, back to Palo Alto, back to Clemson, back to Palo Alto, now to South Bend.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. That's what I'm saying. I'm going Notre Dame big here.
Okay. Any other games here before we go to the late night?
Betting against Purdue seems worthwhile, so I'm going to go Illinois. I like Wyoming at home as a dog against San Diego State. San Diego State, a lot of uneven results, now traveling to not just altitude, I think the altitude place in college football, Laramie.
Correct.
Wyoming has gotten quietly a little bit better. They are veering towards incompetent. So I'm going Wyoming as a home dog here.
All right, let's go to the nightcap.
Please.
You have to achieve failure. You have to take it that far. Nobody wants to go that far. It's too scary.
Too scary.
I got news for you. That's where winning is.
We had somebody write in with more Tom Platt's knowledge. Tom Platt's, of course, being known as the quad father.
Yeah.
Giving us specifics on what would happen if you tried the Tom Platt's quad workout.
Yeah.
It is all bad. Nobody needs quads that bad. But these are different kinds of quads that we're talking about here, of course.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
A lot of college football people joke about, like, how much could it be to sponsor a bowl game? Like, we can get together like $10K or whatever and sponsor the Gasparilla Bowl. They make those jokes. Right now, Matt Brown's doing some kind of smaller bowl game, right?
Yeah.
With his Extra
November.
Points newsletter. How much would it be for us to sponsor a quads-only Mr. Universe type competition? $500? Like go to like Muscle Beach? Venice Beach?
I mean, I've sponsored golf tournaments before. I've sponsored holes on behalf of the Solid Verbal. And those cost $100. It depends on the tournament, but those aren't expensive. So to be a title sponsor, definitely less than $5,000.
But it's quads only.
Only quads.
This is only legs.
Is there only a quads competition out there in the bodybuilding world? There
Probably
has to be, right?
not. We would be the pioneers of this sort of arena.
Do we want to be the pioneers of this arena?
Yeah. So I don't know what the competition, it's called leg day or something. You know, there's some sort of, I mean, the word solid plays really nicely into like a bodybuilding display, a bodybuilding competition.
If you are out there and if you are involved in the bodybuilding world with a very specific quad building competition, solidverbal@gmail.com. Let us know what it would cost.
Competition leg specific sponsorship.
We've got some nice options here in the night and late night windows.
Yeah.
And there's probably a case to be made that I should have included some of these at the very top. But
yeah,
there are two in particular that are of real interest here.
I'm ready.
7 p.m. ESPN, Florida at Tennessee. The rivalry game. Tennessee favored by 15.5 points.
It's a lot of points.
You probably should not take my word on anything Florida related.
Or anything related. Yeah.
Well, my bets have been good.
Oh,
they weren't
okay.
last week. But generally, over the course of the year, my money bets have been really money. But with Florida, I've been a bit of a flip-flopper. And last week, I locked up UCF. I was very confident in UCF. And then Florida just totally shut them down, man. Totally shut them down. I went back, I looked at the numbers, rewatched some games, rewatched the game last week. I think the Florida offense is better than you think. And I think the defense is actually marginally improved.
Okay.
I think I'm taking points here. And I hate myself.
Why? Hold on. What is it that Tennessee has done this year? They hung with Arkansas.
You're saying I shouldn't feel guilty for it, is what
No.
you're saying. Well, they kicked the crap out of NC State.
Whatever.
They scored 25 points against
Oklahoma.
They lost last week and only scored 14 points against Arkansas on the road. So, yeah, I mean, I guess there's probably a case to be made that they're a little bit overvalued, that idiots like you and I have been pumping them up and they weren't ready for primetime yet. I think Florida's going to be able to move the ball on them. I think Florida will give them a little bit more resistance defensively. I don't think they win the game.
No, neither do I.
But it's not a stretch for me to look at this one and say it's going to finish up like 34-23, something like that, and Florida covers.
So you're coming off of a letdown spot for Tennessee into a rivalry game. It's at home, which I do like a lot for Tennessee, which is why I was initially pretty high. I don't know. They've been, by and large, running better. Like Nico's numbers and his performances in these games, leaves some to be desired. And again, we're extending grace. Redshirt freshman, still young in his career. I think he's going to be great. I think it's an interesting spot. Florida won this game last year.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going Florida to cover. I'm going to take points here.
10-15. So quad's a little bit out of order, but whatever. They're all night games.
That's okay.
ESPN, Kansas State now -4 at Colorado. This line came way down. When I made the doc, it was K-State -6. Now it's down to -4. Colorado's my home dog of the week, by the way.
Oh, man.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
So in terms of the SP+,
Yeah.
Colorado defense still below average, but 40 spots better than a year ago.
Yep.
Here's a quirky stat.
I'm ready.
In terms of your favorite stat on your Danalytics spreadsheet, points per drive. Colorado on defense is better than K-State on defense.
47th.
In terms of points per drive, they're better.
Yes.
And weirdly, K-State is better than Colorado on offense.
Correct.
Which is almost the exact opposite of what you might expect.
Fair.
I am on Colorado as my home dog of the week. I think there is a very specific matchup that I like for Colorado. It is K-State's pass defense, which has not been great. And specifically, they are prone to big plays. And specifically, they are very prone, to playing man coverage at a higher rate than most teams in college football. I am not sure they can man up these Colorado receivers.
Will it matter if the Colorado offensive line is the one trying to block Kansas State up front?
But that has been the case all year, hasn't it? Has that not been the case all year, all career for Shedeur in his time at Colorado?
You mean his time as a 4-8 starting quarterback last year with the worst offensive line in college football, largely adding to their problems?
I do mean that, yes.
I
am going Colorado to cover this point spread. I think it is close. I think it is fun. I think it is a high-scoring affair. I think K-State wins this game something like 33-30.
Yeah, I have Kansas State winning this game 32-21. I think Kansas State is better. Kansas State coming off a bye, right? Both of these teams are?
Yep.
So, going to altitude after, a tough game somewhere else, whatever. That doesn't bother me, of course. Yeah, I think there's the mismatch there with Kansas State up front, which should be the best defensive front, even better than Nebraska to me, that Colorado has faced this year. And while Colorado's defense is definitely improved, I think Kansas State offers new challenges. We are talking about a Colorado team that needed 2 miracles to beat Baylor. Yes? At home.
Yep.
Okay. Just making sure we're talking about the same team. Colorado much improved. Should be a bowl team this year. I'm going with K-State to win this game with a week off of preparation.
There is a hodgepodge of other games that we could include here.
Sure.
For the final 2 games in this quad. So just a couple options for you. You can tell me if anything
There's a lot of
jump
fun
out to
at
you.
night here. Yeah.
Wazoo at Fresno at 7 p.m. on FS1. Wazoo favored by 3.5 points.
I like Wazoo here.
I think I do as well.
Coming off a bye.
7:45 SEC Network. We've got Vandy and Kentucky, 2 teams that are obviously upset-minded in the SEC. Kentucky favored by 14 points. The only notable factoid that I wrote down here is that somebody put the Vandy goalposts on Google Maps in the Cumberland River.
Did you see the police helicopter footage of the Vandy fans dumping the uprights into the river? It's
like
great.
the infrared and the black and white, like it's gun camera footage.
The first thing I thought about is we can have that footage to monitor goalposts, and obviously that camera does not exist for the sole reason of finding goalposts in rivers, but obviously to find things at night. But we can't have some sort of infrared situation on a goal line to see if Minnesota actually scored that touchdown?
I wonder if you heated the ball up.
There's something. There's some kind of heat imaging that we can accomplish.
Is there some way that you could pump like an electromagnetic pulse through the ball and then see it on radar in a way that you couldn't before?
You just know that if you are putting some sort of heating device inside of a football, it is going to malfunction and scald some poor... Tyler Warren is going to have 3rd-degree burns because of Ty Hildenbrandt.
Yeah.
It's going to be a disaster. It's great.
Vandy getting 14. Now, there's probably a serious letdown factor here.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points for a team that just beat Bama.
It is. It's a big letdown spot. It's against Kentucky. I like Vandy in the points here. I don't know if they can win again. I think it's going to be low scoring with the Kentucky defense. I think Kentucky's better and will win this game. And obviously, Vandy will have Kentucky's full attention after last week. But yeah, 20-17 Kentucky.
9 p.m. Big Ten Network. Minnesota -5.5 traveling to UCLA. PJ Fleck made the Minnesota players drink a, quote, antidote of confidence capsule, which contains Sprite.
Yeah.
Of course, as they all do. After losing to Michigan, whatever that means to you, they won the game against USC last week, so I guess it worked. It is a results-oriented business.
Ball didn't have heat imaging, though, Ty.
The ball did not have heat imaging.
Yeah.
Which would have come in handy on that final push from Max Brosmer. Was ruled a touchdown. I don't know what PJ Fleck's doing. I have no idea what he's doing. Coaches are extremely weird.
True.
This is among the weirdest things I've read this year. I'm sure there will be other things out there, but kind of like Minnesota here. I don't really feel great about anything UCLA related at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going Minnesota here. I don't feel great about anything UCLA myself. Although they will probably start selling that bottled in Minnesota Stadium. Because that's also
Sprite. Is it just Sprite? I would like to know what else is in the antidote of confidence.
Ooh, good question. But they'll figure out some sort of custom canning or bottling for it.
Here's my problem.
Gotta monetize, Ty. Gotta monetize.
It was labeled as an antidote of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't an antidote something that offsets the effects of something else?
So I think they're saying that it's like an antidote of confidence, saying like, here is a shot of confidence after being so let down against Michigan.
So it's like an EpiPen of sorts.
Correct.
And it contains confidence?
Yes.
Okay, that's a little confusing to me.
Yeah.
If they're going to monetize, they need to work on that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I would like to know what else was in it.
Yeah.
It just says contained Sprite.
Just the little fibers of PJ Fleck's giant tie knot. What a look. It's so surprising that hasn't caught on. The Q-zip with the huge tie knot underneath.
That Q-zip is painted on him, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an extra medium if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, got it fitted in Taipei.
It's like shrink wrapped
Yeah.
around his body. He has to sleep with it on.
Mm-hmm.
Any other games in this nightcap that
are of
interest to you?
No, I think there's nice opportunities here for teams like Oregon State to pick up another win, Texas State to pick up another win. Boise State, we'll see Ashton Ginty Monday morning at Hawaii.
He's going to run for 200 yards against Hawaii.
Well, here's the problem. We were talking to Jeff Schwartz about it. I was talking to Jeff about it. He took, I think, Ginty the over of 200 yards or something like that against Utah State. They're just going to pull him if they're way up on these teams. They're going to pull him in the middle of the second quarter. Right. So it's a tough bet. But yeah, Hawaii probably is going to struggle against Boise.
That is all we have for today. If you are out there in the world looking for live college football games and some podcasts in pristine audio format.
Yeah, baby.
Go download the Varsity Network app. It is free to download in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. You search for your school, you get the content that you desire. Dan and I both have it on our phones. We listen to it weekly. Varsity Network app. Again, it is free in your app store of choice.
Yes, it is. Drop that big stanky drum and fife, Ty. Please, please, please.
Baby.
What do you have?
12:30, Georgetown on the road. Fisher Stadium against Lafayette, Dan. This is a big matchup here in the early Pat season.
Yeah, I mean,
standings.
You say Ohio State, Oregon. I say Georgetown, Lafayette, right?
I'm going to go Yetis. Georgetown away from home is not usually a great formula.
Yeah, Georgetown, like Lane Kiffin was talking about Ole Miss untested ahead of its SEC schedule. This is Georgetown's first Pat League matchup where Lafayette is 1-0. I'm going Yetis here.
1 p.m., Fordham at Holy Cross, this game on FS2. I'm going to go Hammies here on the road against Crusaders. I think it's an obvious play.
You said Fordham? You're going Hammies at 0-6 on the year?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, no way. Go Crusaders big.
What are the Crusaders on the year?
Tease this up, Ty. That's what I'm saying.
What are the Crusaders? What's their record?
They've won. They're 2-4.
2-4. Come on.
Undefeated in the Pat League, 1-0.
And last but certainly not least, the Bucknell Bison on the road against the Penn Quakers, I believe.
Bucknell against Penn?
Yeah.
What's the name of the, it's Pochettino, the new men's national coach?
Mauricio Pochettino.
Pochettino.
Yeah. Pochettino, excuse me.
Pochettino. Splitting time with Bucknell. I think they're going to have a strategic advantage here. I'm going Bucknell.
That game, by the way, U.S. versus Panama, the friendly, is also in the nightcap. So if you're having trouble filling out the quad.
Where are they playing?
I believe they're playing that game in Austin, Austin, Texas. It's funny because they had their first training session this past weekend.
Yeah.
And all the guys came in, and then they, not all of them, but the ones who made it in for Sunday had their first training session. And when they talked to the media afterwards, they said, what was different? And they were like, yeah, he really wants to win. He's really intense.
Okay.
I didn't know this was a novel concept. Maybe if you've been watching the team this whole while, you could say, yes, that has been something, that killer instinct has been lacking. But to a man, they all were like, yeah, dude's like super intense and really wants to win. I'm cool with that.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like a good starting point for a coach of anything, yeah?
Go team, go USA. Looks like he's got a Bochy-sized head. I'm in on all of it.
Very round head.
Great.
Yeah. All right, that is week 7. Again, as a reminder, we will be doing our week 7 recap live at midnight out on the YouTube channel. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/@solidverbal. Check any of our social feeds. We will post links there as well. We will be a bit bleary-eyed after 12 plus hours of football, but excited to be there with the Verballerhood. Go on out to verballers.com and play, run the board. Dan, this week,
what do we have?
This week, we are giving away a $100 gift card to Roback, our friends at Roback.
I'm wearing it right now, Ty. In
Big
my
Roback
everyday
guys
life.
Here. Big Roback guys here. $100 gift card to our friends out at Roback at verballers.com, at playruntheboard.com. You can type in either. You can get on over to the game. You pick a bunch of games and player props against the spread. The winner gets the gift card. That's the way it works. Very easy to do.
That's so easy.
And of course, last but certainly not least, call the Reverb line at 855-VERBAL-3. Leave your messages. Leave your messages. Our guy Shay will cut them up. We will play them as part of the reverbs. We had 2 reverbs last week because there was so much going on. But leave your messages. We will pick our favorites. We will play them at the end of that week 7 recap show.
Wow. Can I tell you one thing as we conclude? This is the final thing. Long
Is this
show.
Another fart-related thing?
Nothing to do with farts.
Okay.
Although.
Oh, damn.
Got to play that sound. You got to get your money's worth for that sound. And the tuba.
I got a text message probably a little over an hour ago from a neighbor. Okay? Nothing to do with any hawks eating rabbits on fences.
Thankfully.
Though I still think that was a sign. That was actually really rad to watch.
Yeah.
Nature's great. That's my review.
We've
of
determined
nature.
it was a Cooper's hawk, by the way.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
This is the text I got. Hey Dan, on a flight to Portland now. Sitting next to me, Desmond Howard. Dropped your name and he knows you. Hey Des.
It is.
First thing he mentioned is your pizza. Nice guy. You going to Eugene for the game. I'll be in Portland. Talk soon.
Look at that.
Yeah, I haven't responded yet, but there you go. Valley
gonna
Circle
respond
Pizza in the skies.
Will you respond with, I have no idea who that guy is?
Desmond who?
Desmond who?
Yeah, go Ducks. That's
We
good.
like Des.
Okay.
All right. So look, everybody, have a good weekend. Enjoy your football. If you're down in the Southeast, our thoughts are with you. It's looking very, very bleak with the hurricane approaching. So, look, if you just call the Reverb line and let us know you're okay, we'd appreciate that.
That'd be cool.
We wish you all well. I don't know what the deal is going to be with that Memphis USF game. Excuse me. I know they moved it to sort of skirt the initial landfall of the storm, but whether they play it or not, we just hope everybody is safe down there. So our thoughts are with you, Florida Verballers, Southeastern Verballers. Join us on Saturday night if you can for a Week 7 recap.
Yep.
For that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, thanks again for downloading, listening, supporting. We will talk to you all on Saturday. In the meantime, stay solid.